Hello everybody, thanks for clicking on another morning mug video here. Gonna be doing a bull case on MindMed. Hopefully you guys appreciate this video. If you guys do appreciate it, be sure to click the like button. Drop a subscribe if you think I bring any value to you and you'd like to be updated when I bring out new videos. And let's get on to it. First thing we'll do here is head on over to MindMed's Our Focus page, check out some of their philosophy. So first, overcome. We focus on helping patients overcome rather than survive. We believe patients deserve better than to linger in symptom management forever. We help patients make breakthroughs that can get them out of the symptom management cycle that's all too commonplace in mental health care. Number 2, community. We're building a community with high standards of efficacy and compassion. Effective mental health care requires a coordinated effort from the therapists, drug developers, and patients. We need shared data to drive insights and better treatment. So we're working to build that community through partnerships and programs. We hold ourselves and our partners to the highest standards of efficacy and compassion so that we can progress the industry and patient outcomes faster. So these are some of their hospital and universities they're working with. We got the University Hospital in Basel, NYU Langone in New York, and Maastricht University here. Number 3, tool set. We offer a complete tool set, not just a pill. We're not just another pill to manage symptoms. We offer a tool set from breakthrough medicines and technology to compassionate therapy. For patients and therapists, that accounts for the entire complex patient journey. Number 4, we have the right people for the right reasons. Our interdisciplinary team of drug development veterans, savvy technologists, and mental health experts was purpose-built to tackle these challenges. With over a century of combined experience in product development and commercialization, we have the know-how and the heart to introduce a better approach to mental health. Number 5, we're built for operational agility and a long-run business model. This is a rapidly evolving space. We're committed to building a business that becomes a long-lasting institution in effective mental health treatment, not just a flash-in-the-pan startup that's here today and gone tomorrow. So it's great to hear that from them. Lots of companies will say this, so it's about delivering, but that's going to be in their philosophy, obviously. And number 6, we're a new kind of pharma company. We believe that as a society, we're at the start of a paradigm shift in mental health. We want to lead the way in doing right. That means we're community-focused, honest, and transparent. Together, we can improve our collective mental health. So those are some notes about their philosophy, where the company hopes to go, and how they would like to carry themselves. But enough with that, let's get on to our bull case here for MindMed, starting with the current business. So how do they define their assets? They define their assets, first of all, being a new asset class, and how are they going to deliver these products? The two categories are going to be in their non-hallucinogenic products and their hallucinogenic products. So the non-hallucinogenic products will be the LSD microdosing for ADHD and the 18-MC for addiction. How it's done, these are derived from psychedelics. They have negligible hallucinogenic effects, so they can be prescribed by a doctor and picked up for home use. The hallucinogenics, on the other hand, are going to be for experiential therapy for anxiety and experiential therapy for cluster headaches. How it's done, a high dose or experiential dose of psychedelics, some form of visuals, and is delivered by a therapist, is overseen by a therapist and a doctor, and is in-clinic treatment only. MindMed plans to have a capital-efficient corporate strategy ranging from the discovery, develop, and deploy stages of the market. So they are going to be trying to acquire new chemical entities and other psychedelics through strategic partnerships and collaborations. This is evident in their diversified pipeline. They also plan to develop the drugs through the FDA trials. Those are the most public aspects of the company, so most people know about that. And they plan to deploy them as well through their strategic partnerships. So let's take a look at that pipeline here quickly. It is the broadest and most diversified pipeline in the psychedelic market right now, and that is for sure. LSD experiential therapy and Project Lucy preparing to enter 2B trials this year. We've got the opioid withdrawal drug 18-MC looking to enter phase 1B and prepare phase 2As this year as well as later on in the year. The LSD microdosing for adult ADHD trial is estimated to start Q3 2021. So lots of catalysts for the year on the pipeline side. And in their discover aspect of the business, they have their hospital in Basel, Switzerland, has completed 13 phase 1 trials already and has 4 ongoing trials right now. The hospital there focuses on research and development of all the psychedelic compounds that are popularized right now. A quick dive into each of their projects here. We'll start with Project Lucy, their LSD-assisted therapy. With most of their products being disruptive in nature, they do plan to be tackling the Xanax crisis, as they put it. 284 million people globally suffer from anxiety, with 36% of patients actually seeking treatment. One of the biggest things that MindMed finds with this statistic is that there is a large stigma that is holding people back from seeking out the treatment, as well as the efficacy of current treatments. COVID-19 has also added fuel to the fire, as they put it there. Anti-anxiety prescriptions up 34.1% month over month, and Xanax itself a 14.5% year-over-year increase. They also go on to touch on LSD being a safer alternative to benzodiazepines. They are 2 times as dangerous as LSD, but yet 30 million people are prescribed them every year. This is a quick little chart about the risk profile on a basis of emergency department visits. So you can take that with a grain of salt, as it is a very broad metric there, but all the point is being shown is that there are things that people either turn to or use currently medicinally, and they are much more dangerous. This trial was purchased from UHB. The trial is led by Dr. Peter Gasser and Matthias Lichty. They are currently preparing to open the IND with a phase 2 study and plan to file by Q3 2021. Anecdotal evidence for years now has suggested that microdosing or subperceptual amounts of LSD and psilocybin are able to increase focus, decrease anxiety, increase creativity, and also increase your mood. These are all things that they want to bring to the people who are currently suffering from the various illnesses and ailments, and believe the stigma around the drugs and the current efficacy of medicines today are not up to par. Adding on to the opportunities for this drug specifically, MindMed mentions that generation Adderall, and if anybody is within the generation that I am in, I'm 25 years old currently, knows that Adderall is quite common, quite popular amongst students studying, some gamers, stuff like that. They believe the LSD-assisted therapies are able to help with that, be it with the ADHD sufferers or people who are looking for other options than stimulants. The trials for the ADHD side of LSD microdosing are being conducted with Dr. Matthias again, this time with the help of Dr. Kim Kuipers. Another one I probably butchered. She'll serve as principal instigator at the Maastricht site. So clinical trial progress, phase 2A anticipated to begin in Q3 of this year in Europe. And their third drug in the immediate pipeline is 18-MC to tackle the opioid crisis. The existing addiction treatment market is 2.5 trillion USD, so insane. 700 billion USD annually spent on OUD, which is opioid use disorder, in the United States alone. 92 million prescription opioid users in the United States, which is insane. Between the years of 1999 and 2018, there's been a 395% increase in prescription opioid overdoses, so that's a wild increase. It's a crazy, crazy issue that not only the United States, but countries all over the world deal with. 18-MC is a much safer alternative to many of these options that are currently being used. I'm not even going to try and say those names because I'll guarantee to butcher them. The FDA has created new incentives for opioid treatments, as well as a new threshold for approval, because the current options have a 88% relapse rate, which is not helping too much. So 18-MC is said to work as well as ibogaine. It is derived from ibogaine without harmful side effects. It's non-hallucinogenic and non-cardiac toxic. So with this, MindMed intends to apply for that BDT, the incentive from the FDA, which will shorten the timeline for the drug development by an average of 30%. Here's a quick graph that makes it a little more visual to understand what happens to certain biochemical levels in your brain when you're addicted to something. Lowers your dopamine level amongst doing various other things that illicit drugs do. And the current options do not do much to help you regain those levels of dopamine, while 18-MC aims to do that, and that is what they are trying to prove in efficacy during their FDA trials. Here's their development plan. NDA submission form slated for Q4 2025. It's a biotech company, so hopefully this isn't a shock to you guys. This is going to take years down the road. For some of those paper hands out there who are deciding to buy MindMed but are worried about having exit options, MindMed has a discovery plan that includes IP pipeline generation in Switzerland. This is going to allow them to create situations that will be catalytic to the stock price and allow us to have exit plans a little more readily available. So MindMed late last year went ahead and bought all the rights to the work being done at the Lichty Labs with Dr. Matthias Lichty. They have exclusive license for anything done with DMT, MDMA, LSD, and psilocybin. So that's awesome. That anything coming out of there, anything at the cutting edge of these researches are going to be under MindMed's name. Here's a chart just to show some of the phase 1 trials that the hospital in Basel has already completed and some of them that they're working on. Wide array of planned application, as well as trying to hit as many notes as they can so that they can be on the cutting edge of any discovery that's being made in the psychedelic medicine industry. Things as cutting edge as the first ever trial combining LSD and MDMA, which has started in Q1 of this year. It is also where they will be doing the trials for the horrific problem of suicide headaches, or otherwise known as cluster headaches. Clinical trials for 2As began last year, Q2. Expected readout in 2022. They're also going for more designation from the FDA to help speed up the development of the drug, as well as recoup some R&D costs through grants. And more pipeline generation diversity here from Dr. Kuipers, using digital assets that they're going to use to further the speed of their R&D, covering things from neuroplasticity, sleep, cognitive enhancement variables, and immune system responses to some of these therapies. These digital assets are all a part of Project Albert, the digital medicine division for psychedelics. MindMed believes that AI spend in healthcare and pharma will increase fourfold by 2025, enhancing all phases of the clinical paradigm and improving the company from top to bottom. That covers what they have on their investor deck that touches on their business and what they have going on right now. Let's slide on over to some of the opportunities and the outlook for the company. MindMed believes that the FDA is the only way. FDA has clear regulatory framework and commercialization pathways. Their FDA focus means they will have no recreational revenue streams. This is, while maybe less attractive to some investors, has allowed them to bring on institutional buyers such as CIBC, as well as was one of the main reasons why Kevin O'Leary of Shark Tank was interested in MindMed from the beginning. The FDA also has designations that allow FDA trials to be sped up, as well as cut costs and improve return on investment for MindMed. MindMed already has FDA trials in the works, as we've mentioned, as well as newly acquired ones in NYU Langone and at the University Hospital Basel. When it comes to drug abuse crises, the first three that I think of, and I'm sure a lot of people do think of as well, are opioids, Adderall, and Xanax. MindMed hopes to tackle all of these issues at the root cause through their microdosing therapies, as well as some of their take-home drugs. These drugs aim to tackle these issues differently, not just patching up the symptoms, instead creating a framework for actual success and a path to being less dominated by your ailment. So we've touched on the opportunities. If we want to just look at it in a numbers way, and all of these numbers are going to be cited in this investor deck. Anything mentioned that has a fact behind it is cited in this investor deck. So if you are interested in doing that a bit of due diligence, which you should always do when you're after watching something on the internet, just have a look at the investor deck and scroll on down to the sources, and you can find anything you're interested in regarding the numbers. So for anxiety, $4.7 billion is globally spent. For ADHD, $9.5 billion is globally spent. $42 billion is spent in the addiction substance market, as well as $9.6 billion spent globally on depression drugs. I'm not going to get too speculative and start breaking down markets and what they're going to be able to, penetrate and take over, as they are a disruptive technology. But just simply taking 1% of each of these markets gives you 670 million USD. Using a multiple of 8 times price to sales ratio would give you a rough market capitalization of 5.4 billion. So well over what they're currently being traded for, but pure speculation. With MindMed's diverse pipeline and many labs working under their name, along with a growing cash position on their balance sheet, they're going to have a great chance of success with all their diversity. That's what I've been able to pull in terms of opportunity and outlook for the company here. Let's move on to leadership. Here are the board of directors for MindMed. We got J.R. Ron, co-founder, Stephen L. Hurst, co-founder, Stanley D. Glick, PhD, notably the inventor of 18MC. On their scientific advisory board, it only expands their expertise. Got some pretty smart people here. They are collaborating with the leading psychedelic researchers in various different places. University Hospital Basel, which we've mentioned plenty of times, 10 plus years of experience. And the Maastricht University in Netherlands. That's where they'll be doing a couple different phase 2 trials. On their team is the only doctor in the world legally allowed to use LSD to treat patients as well. So that's huge. If this isn't the first time you've read up on MindMed, you'll know that JR has mentioned plenty of times that Big Pharma's importance in all of this is very big. Big Pharma is known to search and acquire assets. So looking to have them acquired by Big Pharma is definitely on their radar. It is with that team, these doctors, and that outlook on the industry that MindMed will establish the new class of medicine for mental health. Built upon principles of patient first, industry expertise, data moats, diversify their pipeline, collaborate, and invest early, I believe MindMed will be successful. That does it for my bull case on MindMed. Remember, this is not financial advice or trading advice. Be sure to do your own due diligence whenever you buy a stock. Don't just buy it because you heard someone on the internet tell you to buy it. If you like the content, be sure to drop a like. If you think I add any value to your day, be sure to subscribe so that you get updated when I drop more videos. Do your best to finish this week on a green note, and safe travels.